What is up, everyone? Today I am going to be giving my breakdown and betting tips for UFC Nashville Fight Night Lewis versus Teixeira. Unfortunately, Lewis could not make it today, so it will just be me. It'll be kind of a quicker breakdown, as you know, I don't think this card is amazing, but it's not terrible. Some really wide odds. So we're going to start at the bottom here, and we got Fatima Klein versus Melissa Martinez. Now, to put it bluntly, Fatima Klein should run through Melissa here. She should win. She should probably win inside the distance, and that's probably what I'm gonna take. She's a heavy favorite right now. She's minus 1400. Extremely heavy favorite. You know, she should win this fight. She should win it pretty convincingly. And I think I'm gonna take her by inside the distance. I haven't seen the odds yet, but if it's anywhere near even money, I think it could be a good bet. Melissa Martinez is coming off her decision win against Alice Ardelene, but uh, nothing that impressive at all. Especially, considering Klein's coming off a very impressive knockout win against Victoria Dudikova, and she took Jasmine Jadzovic to a decision, lost it, but still. So I'm going to take Fatima Klein by finish in this fight. I don't know if I'm gonna bet it yet. I have to see the odds, but the money line, she's just too heavy. But it's women's MMA, so tread lightly. We'll move up to Mike Davis versus Mitch Ramirez. Another one, very wide odds. Mike Davis is coming in at minus 900 right now. And I think he could show it in this fight. Mike Davis is coming off the decision loss to Faresiam. And I think that he is going to show that he still has that hype that he lost when he lost to Fresiam, because he did have a lot of hype and he was even the slight favorite over Ziam. So I think he's going to come back. I think he's going to be a really big bounce back win. I think he's going to find a knockout in this fight. So I'm going to take Mike Davis by knockout, and I'll probably end up betting it, depending on what the line is. Again, they're not out yet. Next, we're going to move to the heavyweights in Kennedy Nezuchuku versus Walter Walker. Now, I'm going to take Walker in this fight. I'm going to take the dog. Now, I think he's going to be able to make this fight very clinchy, and I think he's going to be able to get this fight on the ground. And I think he can secure another submission win. He made a post the other day of a heel, and he said, I'm coming for it again because he's got two back-to-back heel hook wins. And I think he could find another. I think he might try to, and I think he could. Kennedy has looked good since moving up to heavyweight, although it hasn't been the highest of competition. He has looked decent, and Walter Walker has also looked decent in his last couple fights, even though he lost to Bresky, who Nishachek just beat. But I think he'll be able to, dog out this fight, and I think I'm gonna take him as the dog in this fight. I think he's like plus 180, plus 170 right now. So I think I'm gonna take him in this fight. I might look at a submission prop whenever those odds come up. Now we're gonna move up to Lauren Murphy versus Eduardo Mora. I'm gonna take the non-41-year-old in this fight. I'm gonna take Eduardo Mora. I think she's gonna make the fight. I think she's gonna win this fight a decision pretty convincingly. She's another heavy favorite, minus 650 right now. And I think she's probably gonna win a decision. Lauren Murphy has not fought since 2023. And I think Mora coming off some good fights, even though she's lost one. She'll get it done. She's 10 years younger. And I think she's just better right now. She's got the momentum in comparison. Now we're going to move to Jake Matthews versus Chidi Njokuani. I'm going to take a dog here. I'm going to take a dog in Jake Matthews. You know, I think it's a very close fight, obviously. Just like the odds say, I'm pretty sure this is one of the closest odds fights in the card, considering a lot of them are not close. But, Chidi coming off some good wins, I guess, but he's older now too. And I think Jake Matthews is going to be able to land the bigger shots, maybe land more, and maybe get some takedowns when he needs them. And I think he'll be able to win a decision in this fight. I see this fight probably going the distance, and I think he's going to win a decision. He's going to be the shorter, less reach guy, but I think he'll be able to dog out a win. Now we are going to move to Max Griffin versus Chris Curtis. This fight is a very old fight. You know, Curtis is 37, Max Griffin is 39. And another interesting point about this fight is Chris Curtis is moving down to 170 for the first time since 2021. He's been fighting at 185. So, I'm not really sure why he's doing that or how this is going to impact him at all. Um, but I don't know if it's going to be positive or not. I, Ultimately, I'm going to go with Chris Curtis. I do think he's just better in general. I'm not a big fan of Max Griffin, and I think Chris Curtis is going to win, probably a decision, but it's going to be a no bet. I don't like the moving down aspect, and you just don't know what it's going to do, especially coming off that third round knockout, from Kopylov, where he got pieced up a little bit in that fight. And I don't think it's worth a bet, especially considering Chris Curtis is a heavy favorite. He's minus 310 right now, and I don't think it's worth those odds, especially. Um, because it's minus 310 moving down. I'm going to stay away from that. That's an accident waiting to happen. Now we're going to move to the main card. We got Junior Tafa versus Tuco Tokos. Now Junior looks good right now. He's got the picture going around of him. He lost all that weight. It's a light heavyweight bout. It looks like he's been working out. He's been training hard. He's getting into shape. And I think that's going to end up paying off. I think he's going to end up winning this fight. Now, that being said, I don't think I will be betting on him. They're decently close odds. He's been fighting at heavyweight. He's finally coming down to light heavyweight, losing some weight. That there's that old saying that, most heavyweights are just fat light heavyweights. Uh, so, Top has proven that. So I think he's gonna win this fight. I think he'll probably land bigger shots. But if I do bet anything at all, which as of now I'm not looking to, I'll probably bet Tokos on the money line because I think he's tough and will have the wrestling advantage. And ultimately, I just don't think Junior Tafa or either of the Tafa brothers are that good. I don't know if they really have the drive to compete. And I don't know if that's changed with, this weight loss and him getting into shape. I don't know if it's just him eating better and stuff like that, or if he's actually, starting to take this thing a little bit more seriously. But I don't think I would be betting him. I'm going to be betting him as a favorite. Now, he could come out, could get a quick knockout. He's Tacos has gotten knocked out before. Recently, back in 2020, last year, he got knocked out. Uh, and then he got finished by Walter Walker right after. So I think Tafa's going to win. Probably going to be a no bet. But if I do bet anything, it'll either be a Tafa early finish or Tacos on the money line. Now we move to the heavyweights in Vitor Petrino versus Austin Lane. I'm gonna go with Vitor Petrino here. I think he's another heavy favorite. There's a lot of wide odds. Vitor Petrino minus 770 right now. I'm gonna go with Petrino though. I think he's gonna get a knockout. Austin Lane likes to get knocked out, and I think Petrino coming off of the two back-to-back finished losses, I think he has to prove something. He had a lot of hype before, and I think this is another spot for a big bounce back knockout win. Petrino hits hard, Lane likes to get hit and likes to get knocked out. So I think I'm going to go with Petrino with a nice bounce back knockout. Once those odds come out, we'll have to see what they look like. Moving up to Nate Landwehr versus Morgan Charrier. Now, both these guys are coming off a loss. Morgan, the decision loss to Nathaniel Wood, and Nate the Train, the round three loss to Doo-Ho Choi. But I'm going to go with Morgan here. I think Morgan Charrier is actually pretty good. And I think in this fight, he'll be able to mix up the MMA. I think he'll be able to touch up Nate, hopefully stray away from those big shots that Landwehr will throw, maybe get some takedowns himself, and then I think he'll be able to win this fight. I'm not entirely sure how yet. I'm gonna take a look at the odds when they come out, see what it's looking like. Obviously, Landwehr's power is a concern, especially after Morgan got dropped in his last fight. But like the Petrino fight, I think he is in a spot for a good bounce back victory. And that's what I think I'm gonna take. The odds aren't crazy wide either. He's only like a minus 250. So I think it's a good spot for Morgan Sherrier to get a nice bounce back win. Move to Calvin Kattar versus Steve Garcia. All right, obviously, or these odds are decently close. Steve Garcia is only like a minus 130, and I think it's going to be a good fight, but I'm going to pick Steve Garcia because of the age and the momentum, and I think they're on just different trajectories. Uh, I'm not sure if he's going to get another knockout, though. I think I might take a decision win. I just see him landing the bigger shots and, just making the fight look like he won more convincingly than Cater. So I think Garcia is, a minus 130 price right now is actually a good price. I also think that, Kevin Cater's older. He's coming off some losses, a lot of them to be exact, four. Hasn't won a fight since 2022. And I'm going to go with Garcia. I think he's going to land some big shots. I don't know if he's going to get the knockout, but minus 130 is a good price. Now we'll move to the co-main event of the evening. Now, me, along with I'm sure everyone else, would love to see Wonder Boy win this fight. He's a fan favorite, seems like an amazing guy. But unfortunately, I think Gabriel Bonfim's going to win, and I think he's going to latch up a submission. Wonder Boy got subbed. He's coming off two finish losses, but he got subbed by Shavkat 2 fights ago by Rear Naked. And I think that we're going to see another one. I don't know if it's going to be Rear Naked, but I think we're going to see another finish. I think he's got Bonfim's gonna be able to strike, tough it out, and I think he'll get a takedown, and I think he'll probably snag another submission win. Bonfim coming off a submission win. He's got three in the UFC, and I think he'll be able to grab another one against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, unfortunately. So I'm gonna go with Bonfim by submission. Now we move to the main event of the evening. Derek Lewis versus Talishan Teixeira. I think Teixeira is probably going to get an early finish in this one. Again, like the last fight, I hope not. I would love to see Derek Lewis win. I love him. Great guy. Seems awesome to be around. But he's older. He's 40. Teixeira's 25. They're throwing him in a main event spot really early in his UFC career, his second UFC fight. But he's coming off some nice momentum. He's got the Contender Series knockout, his UFC debut knockout. And I honestly think he'll find another finish here. I don't know if it's gonna be by knockout though. I could see a nice submission win. He's got some BJJ in his repertoire, and I could see maybe Lewis shooting a takedown and Teixeira grabbing a guillotine. If that's part of Lewis's game plan, try to stray away from the power, and then Teixeira just grabs a submission like that. I could see that. I could see a quick knockout. I don't know. Again, how serious Lewis is taking it per usual. Sometimes he comes in and he looks like he's really, really grinding. He's really taking this his fight game seriously, and then sometimes he just doesn't. So we'll see how he looks when he steps out. But I'm gonna look at that Teixeira number when the Teixeira finish number when it does come up, and I might take a shot on that. So I'm gonna go Talishan Teixeira by early finish. And that is our UFC Fight Night Lewis versus Teixeira UFC Nashville breakdown.